party.
All right. So I guess we'll decide what your group goal is now. Um, if somebody's individual goal just happens to be brought up, don't worry about it. Don't say it. Um, you know, we'll deal with that privately. Just don't be the one to propose it to the group yourself. As long as that happens, we're all good. Um, so what do you three feel uh you want to try to accomplish this session?
Uh, this session, my plans involve, I guess, dealing with the situation at the airlock because that has come up. Then we have at least my next destination at least is the bridge. Acquire navigational data.
I think that the overall goal, I don't know if we're going to be able to salvage the entire ship, but we should definitely be able to some sort of a profit off this thing. I think at this point.
How would you phrase that, Victor?
What do you guys
Just
think?
make a
off
profit.
this ship?
Fairly vague. We could potentially go for it. Like, are you saying salvage the ship, or
Yeah,
or
I
what?
personally, I want to try to salvage the ship, but if we can't, I'm voting that we at the very least try to maybe sell the information of its location or something to people. Sell the system's information as well as another way to make a profit off of this. But I'm not thinking we want to. I don't know. I don't think we'd be able to salvage the ship from the sounds of it so far.
I will
I
I
wanna
will
try,
mention that you've seen a lot of superficial damage. Systems have been registered as offline but not destroyed. And do you know, Akron, that as long as the power source is not destroyed, like a ship is not just dead. So it's feasible that you could potentially do something with it.
Before I suggest something, is it feasible that Asara fits in the shuttle bay?
I think we talked about this before. It might be possible to cram it in there, but there could be some damage to the Nasara. And the thing is, that was when there was not an asteroid in the corner. It would take some very, very careful piloting. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but it would be a difficult procedure at the very least, and it would not be without some risk to both ships. It's certainly not meant to fit. It's meant to fit a normal. It's cargo shuttles. Technically, are not the Starship class known as a shuttle. They're just like an orbit to serve or orbit to space transport. I'm playing this off as this can probably fit a single normal size shuttle, but you guys are in a heavy shuttle. So that's why I think it might be possible to fit it in here, but it would be a very bare thing, if at all.
So, it occurs to me that I don't know if this really applies now. I was going to suggest that if we got Sin back her ship, we could, for example, ride around with her for a little while. It would be the Zephius on the sensors and not the Dasara. It might take some heat away, but if it barely fits, that's not exactly feasible.
So more thoughts on the group goal here. We need definitive opinions here, guys. No beating around the bush.
I think we should try and get the ship back. We need to analyze damage and see if that's remotely possible. It could be possible we could get an atmosphere back to the ship, like if we land on the planet or something and got it from there. Food is not an issue, and we've established, I think, before that there is breathable atmosphere and water on said planet, but that would need further investigation.
What do you think, Foster? Would you be on board with signing on for a group goal of successfully returning the ship to its owner?
I didn't think that was the original plan, but
Original plan would be a mission goal. This is like an expanded thing.
Well, the original plan was get there, and if it's in serviceable shape, bring the ship back. Like, obviously, she would want the ship back. The secondary thing was, if it's not feasible, get me enough cargo to pay off my debts, so I'm basically not shot.
yeah, I suppose we can try.
Well,
Alright.
If that's the main mission goal, can we do a group goal to try not to have to kill all these people in the process of doing so?
I mean, your group goal. I think your group goal to return the ship is totally fine, because your mission goal was looking like it was like you guys were going to, like one way or another, kind of get out with some cargo. If you guys want to go full bore and really try to salvage the ship, I think that's a perfectly acceptable group goal.
I'm fine if you guys are.
Yeah, that sounds completely fine.
All right. Successfully recover the Zephius. And I'm going to say this is going to be... Let's say this is going to be 4,000 XP. Because I mean, this is not like something that everybody had to agree to. It's like it was like the optimal goal, but it's looking like a lot of effort would have to go into doing this, and it might not be feasible. So definitely, this would be going above and beyond, and you definitely be getting some reward for that, man.
Okay.
All right.
Yep. Before we can discuss said plan, though, I think we have a situation to deal with in locker room.
Oh yes. So.
Properly.
Yeah. I think. Let's see here. Oh, Akron has disappeared from sensors.
What? Oh, up for Roll20, I'm restarting starting my Firefox. It just got completely wonky. Everything was showing big black screens and stuff rather than where Flash stuff was supposed to be.
Your Firefox takes a little while to restart, then.
Yeah, sorry about that, Star. I just dropped the PM. I didn't
Yeah, it's fine.
To the outage. Yeah, hopefully I'll be smooth here, but you might need my help about that. So just give me a heads up.
All right, so Ray, you are kind of floating over a pair of bodies, one which you've just kind of put down with your SMG, and you hear kind of the loud clicking of the docking mechanisms as the Nasara obviously docks to the side of the Zephius, and from down the corridor, you see motion, like a dark grayish blue jumpsuit, and Malcolm Taylor appears, and he says something about Ray, what was that? I heard, and then like he sees that there's basically this body floating there, and there's like a lot of blood. I think you had said that you were trying to staunch the bleeding, and he stops and he stares.
Your other crew appears to be a bit rambunctious and attacked me, even though I'm in armor.
He just stares at you and he says, "What happened? What's going on? Who is that?"
I'm assuming this is your guy.
It's like, you shot him? Who is it?
I don't remember his name. The other guy that we haven't met.
Bennett is the unaccounted for.
That would be correct. Do you still have your gun out?
It's probably at my side again, since I'm trying to use two hands to fix him.
All right, so he warily sort of puts his hands on the door frame. Ray, can you give me a persuasion roll with charisma? Like, he's obviously looking between this guy and then, like, he sees the other body floating over there, and he's definitely... You can tell he's, like, taking in the situation. Okay. So he doesn't, like, just immediately freak out, but he is extremely tense and he doesn't enter the room. He puts his hands on the door to steady himself. And it looks like he's thinking things over very quickly. About this time, the airlock cycles open. And I think Twitch, you emerge from the Nasara.
Hey, Ray, what?
You can't see Ray.
Oh.
You see about 10 feet ahead of you. Malcolm is floating with his hands like he's floating
User left your
horizontal
channel.
to you.
User joined your channel.
He's floating horizontal to you, and he's looking into a room, and you can see just like I think maybe a couple droplets of red floating out of the door.
Malcolm, what's going on?
He looks back at you. He's dark skinned, but he's like his cheeks are a little bit pale. And he looks back at you, and he looks at you, like very worriedly, and like maybe like he doesn't necessarily trust you. And he kind of shifts himself back in the hallway, and he says, "Ray shot someone. She said someone attacked her." And
Really?
yeah, like I mean, he shifts out of the way, and you can kind of get to the doorway.
Yeah, I go to the corner. Ray, what's going on?
Yeah, you see the body from before, kind of just floating beneath the desk, and then you see
Went
Ray
to get
there.
another fucking battery, and then this guy attacked me.
Yeah, you see the battery kind of like floating in the air, and you see like a steady stream of blood droplets just like floating away from this guy's thigh, where she's like applying an emergency patch to him.
Conscious?
You can't. Well, I mean, he's in a suit, but he's not moving at all.
But you probably need to get, if you want to take care of him, you need to get him out of that suit. He's not going to be very good like that for long. I move over to the guy and start to remove. This is an atmosphere, right? Yeah, it is.
It's an
Yeah,
atmosphere.
This section's an
I
atmosphere.
begin to remove his helmet.
Okay, so yeah, you move into the small maintenance room. It's a little crowded, but you get in there and you like undo the ring seal around his helmet, and you pull it off, and you notice that Pharixus has come to the door, and like right next to him is Malcolm again, and they're both like looking in as you guys are doing this, and you get the helmet off, and as I described before, it's a human, Caucasian, looks like to us just like with a vaguest hint of like a Middle Eastern background, but that's not really a thing in space. And he's got like very dark stubble it's kind of like grown wildly over his chin and his jaw. Dark hair that's kind of wild. It's not long, but it's just like unkempt, and you don't see his eyes or anything. They're closed. It's clear that he's alive, but he's definitely unconscious, and he's very pale.
This your guy?
Malcolm says, "My God, it's Bennett. I thought he was dead. How is you said he attacked you? How?" He shakes his head and he looks just utterly flabbergasted.
Must not have been too smart to try and attack a person in an armored suit, but
he doesn't even really respond to that. He's just like staring at Bennett's face, like almost like he's seeing a ghost. And he's like shaking
Still
his
alive.
head.
We get him out of this suit. We can deal with his wounds. Maybe we can get some answers when he wakes up.
So where do you guys take him? And I think like Akron, you had heard something about like some sort of commotion, and Ray had said like she had shot somebody. What are you doing during this time? Like you're in damage control. Are you like rushing to make your way back, or are you just waiting for a status report?
I'm just continuing about heading over to the what room was that here?
I think you were heading to the reactor.
I think to specifically the part where they keep the spare parts for the light drive, I believe, last. I think it was the one up by the reactor access there.
Yeah, there's a locker room that has some light drive parts. You don't know specifically where they might store some of like the bigger things. That might be another storage room. Without seeing what's wrong with the reactor, you don't know what you might need for it. Are you just looking to loot parts?
I'm both looking for to loot parts and also to see if there would be anything in here I need, and I'm also trying to figure out where the break between the tap and the reactor is. I believe that's where we left off, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so you're like, I mean, you're full up right now because you've been stuffing your pockets, I think. If you want to carry stuff back, you're gonna have to do it like in your arms, because these would be fairly big components. I would recommend that if you're trying to figure out what's wrong with the reactor, you probably do that first, because you don't necessarily want to just carry like a bundle of parts into the reactor room and, have them there with you.
I guess I probably would have brought a duffel bag with me, so I'm probably.
You can. I guess you can probably,
there?
if you look for one, you can find a duffel bag in a locker.
Yeah, I'll probably end up loading a few in a duffel bag, but I'm going to be looking for the tap issue once I've grabbed a couple things.
Okay.
I might even leave them there on the floor while I check it out if it's going to
All right,
so too much.
Akron, you hear like status reports. Is Ray and Twitch like? Do you guys carry this guy to the med bay or back to the Nasara?
So I've heard status reports.
The Nasara med bay is occupied, so.
I've heard status reports to the gunshot yet. I wasn't sure if I'd actually heard.
Oh yeah, that was before.
Definitely.
Just that she had shot somebody.
I scanned this guy with
kind of freaked out
the
a bit.
DNA analyzer first, but yeah.
You're gonna hear Akron come over the comms and be like, "Man, out of all the trouble you've given me over the past, Ray, could we ever go on a mission where you don't shoot somebody?"
If it was you, you'd probably be unconscious, so take your pick.
So, Ray, what were you trying to do?
Scan the guy to see if he's any foreign contaminants and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're scanning him. No contaminants.
All right.
Where do you bring him?
So, since the Nasara's med bay has the girl, I bring it to the other guy, the other med bay.
Did you say you hadn't seen this guy for a couple days, Malcolm?
He says it's been almost a week. When we lost the upper deck with the shuttle bay incident, when that giant rock hit us. He was sucked out into space. We were sure of it. We couldn't. I mean, he shakes his head. I don't understand it. Someone went up to look for him, and he didn't contact us. There was no way.
Most of the spare life support canisters were gone for the suits in this area. Did you take them?
Well, I know Vivian was making the rounds, gathering up life support from around the ship when things were starting to get grim. And like when he says Vivian, he kind of like casts his eyes to the maintenance room. He's like, "Is that her? You said you found her."
She fits the description I was given, unless you have another human female as a crew member.
He says not unless Sin came back. He shakes his head.
She is quite fine on the station. It's definitely not her. You can go in and look at her if you want. It seems to be a bullet wound of some kind. We found her when we came in and we docked her.
Bullet? He looks very
I didn't
confused
shoot
by
that
this.
one, by the way.
And he just gives you kind of a look. He makes his way into the maintenance room, and you see him looking it over. From the reaction of it, it's obviously his reaction is obviously Vivian, but Ray, you're not there to see it because you're hauling hauling Bennett to the med bay. You return to med bay. I think maybe you've got the battery clapped to like a clasp on your belt. By the way. You return, you see like the grab sled. I guess it's not a grab sled, it's just like it's probably, you wouldn't even need that, I think. You see where you were in the process of unhooking the stasis pod, and you can see like the wires are loose, but like it's it's now once again kind of hooked up to the medbay station. Still active. You get back in there and you get Bennett onto a table. Twitch, it sounds like you're still with Malcolm. What would you like? Would you lead? Like after a few moments, he obviously wants to go to the medbay to check on Bennett. You would come with him, I assume, right?
Yes.
All right, yeah, and you see, like Phyrexius follows you. Like he seems very concerned about what's going on. Like he's like, that guy attacked Ray. She had to shoot him.
So she says. I personally think she didn't have to shoot him. The way it sounds, I mean, I think she could have tried to disarm him or something. But to my understanding, I guess decisions can be hasty when one has a wrench coming at their face.
He just he nods sort of seriously, and he follows you to the med bay. Ray, you've got him on the table. What are you doing?
Attempting to treat the gunshot wounds I did. I also apply some more sedative.
Okay. Give me a tech medicine roll with intelligence. I guess. Yeah, intelligence would work. You've got tools that kind of make up for dexterity.
I don't have a reroll, so
it's not pretty. It looks like he's probably actually going to be unconscious for a while. He'll live. I mean, like you have the right equipment here. And you managed to stop the bleeding, and you didn't hit an artery. He'll live, but he may not have full use of that leg for quite some time. It's likely that he's probably going to be unconscious for at least several hours.
Well, of course he is. I just administered more narcotics, so yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, even without that. Well, narcotics are not the same thing as sedative, but
well.
So you do that. Everybody else is kind of in the room. Akron, I think you've heard enough that everybody's okay. They've gotten this missing crew member back to the med bay, and I think the last thing you hear is probably Ray is diagnosing him and figuring out what happened to him. Maybe you've made your way to the reactor room. You're outside the door, and you kind of hold your breath as you're accessing the panel, and you're checking for radiation readings, and the panel lights up green. There's no leakage. It's not a nuclear reactor, but quantum taps can release gamma rays and shit, which would be very bad. And you don't get anything like that. So you access the door, and you step into the reactor room.
All right. Is there a would I be using my multi-tool to like scan the conduits, or what would be the way to find the break in the tap power? What would be the most appropriate way?
I lean towards multi-tool, but let me look at the description. Tools in medicine, page 43. Yeah. Meta tool would definitely work. It's you can have like a more specialized tool in a tech astronautics kit, but this works for like just a simple diagnostic sort of job. What are you trying to do? Like the primary light drive, like the actual drive housing is it's in the hull of the ship, but in front of you is like the core tap, and this is where the ship draws power from subspace, and there's this it's like this big, it's not perfectly spherical. I think it's actually shaped more like a barbell, and it's got like a few like shafts that go off into the back, like obviously leading towards the drives, and like one that obviously leads down. That's probably the main power conduit to the rest of the ship. What are you specifically looking for, and how are you trying to look for it?
I'm going to basically switch over my multi-tool to, or my my tool here, and I'm going to try to switch it to read power signatures, and I'm going to start scanning the conduits as they leave the tap, and seeing like if I can pick up a dip like under the plating or something along those lines as I'm scanning it.
Yeah, because you would register that like there was an output problem or something. Give me a tech astronautics roll with intelligence.
Stand by. I'll take that.
That's a good roll. So you are you're scanning the compartment. It doesn't seem to be a problem with the core tap itself. It seems like the core tap is set to a lower setting. Like it's basically an idle. Yeah.
Where is there any way I can reroute power around the gap, or I'm still looking for the gap first? But I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I haven't told you that yet.
Okay,
like the core tap seems to be just kind of idling at like 2% power, and like it seems to just kind of be basically in safe mode. So like it doesn't seem like the tap itself is there's anything wrong with it. So you start scanning the actual like power shunts away from it. You scan like one that leads to the one that leads to the primary like power grid. No problem there. What's your wisdom modifier?
My wisdom modifier is, I believe it's a +0. Yes, it's a +0.
And how about your perception score?
My perception is it's at 0. It's a 0.
Okay. On one of, I think like you pick up that I think you set the tap into diagnostic mode as you're running this scan, and what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to send like kind of a power, like a low level power flux through the conduits, just to give you like readings as to their ability to handle power load. Nothing that could cause an overload or anything. It's basically just to test if you can get power through them or not. And everything's checking out until you get to one of the rearmost like conduits leading to the drive. And this seems to be where the gap is. It just doesn't seem to be passing through.
Can I prop open the panel and see possibly what the damage is there?
Yeah.
Can I get my bolt remover out of my
yeah. It'll take you a little bit. It'll definitely take a remover from your. I guess probably your meta tool will probably work. I guess there's probably a universal basically screw on this that you can probably get off with it.
I was thinking I might take like a big really powerful bolt basically unscrew and attach it to my engineering suit here from my tech.
Oh, okay, yeah, that could work.
Lead it down there to the floor panel.
That'd make it faster. So yeah, you get the panel open. Give me an active perception check.
I still have to raise perception.
And this is using whiz and perception.
Oh, yeah, that's it. I don't have any. It's the flat 2d6. I have a 0 and no bonus on my whiz.
All right, so you don't just you don't really see a problem here. Not without having to I think you think you might have to take it apart. It would take hours to potentially diagnose what's wrong with this. You would have the idea maybe you could shunt power around that. Are you still thinking of that?
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can maybe reroute the power through a different section. Preferably a non-vital system, or if there's an unused power area.
Yeah. So you close it back up. Maybe you're biting your lip and you're like, I don't want to take 6 hours to take this conduit apart unless I absolutely have to. Maybe I can route it through drive section B. You go back to the main access terminal. Give me another tech astronautics roll. Perception applies to anything you're trying to just see. When you're trying to do things, that's a different thing. You ran your diagnostic, but
Oh yeah, I mean it makes complete sense. I just wasn't thinking of it, so I'm gonna upgrade it.
It's fairly fluid. I can call for a perception check instead of a tech diagnostic. Yeah.
I think I'm sitting on 3. Well,
it looks like you can potentially route power through another conduit. It'll take maybe an hour or so of work to make sure that this other conduit can handle the load. To be safe, you're gonna want to do a full kind of diagnostic on this. It's not going to be the 6 hours that it would take the other one.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I'm going to definitely set the full diagnostic up, or well, not the full diagnostic, but like you were saying, the more reasonable.
Yeah, you definitely think though that you can restore power to the light drive. You don't have you're registering that you don't have fuel, but that's another problem. So do you do comms everybody and tell them that you're going to be in engineering for a little while?
I'll probably update them to my status and say I might be able to get the light drives back online, but we're going to have to think about maybe getting the scoops going if we want to actually fuel this thing up.
Colin's back. Are the scoops broken? I know they rewired them, but are they actually broken?
Aircraft's going to reply back that I think that they're not damaged, but we do need to undo what they've done.
Copy to that. It. We're still working on the assailant, as it were. I believe he's Bennett. He was reported sucked out of the ship a couple days ago, maybe a week.
Aircraft's going to definitely suggest they be careful until we know what we're dealing with and treat it like a potential biohazard situation.
Ray has already dealt with that. There were no foreign contaminants on the body.
Aircraft's going to just sigh and say, probably space madness. It happens every now and then.
It sounds like he knows this personally.
Space madness? Cross the comms, says Ray. Is that a psychological disorder?
Some people, they look out into the stars for long enough and the this far from reality, their mind just can't take it, especially if bad things happen. High stress.
So, this is on the private comms, by the way, so Malcolm can't hear it.
Yeah, I'm treating all your comms because like you never specifically gave him any sort of comms access.
Okay.
Like you can't really comms Malcolm at all. Like you'd have to use the intercom on
Is
the
he
ship.
with me in the med bay?
Yeah.
He's with you in the med bay, but you got your helmet on.
Yeah, it does seem like if what Malcolm says is to be trusted, he's been in space or / around the ship pilfering the energy modules and air capsules from left from suits for a week. I don't know if that's to be trusted or not, but that's what he says.
Backward says
While I'm dealing with this guy, I tell Malcolm here that there's the other battery. See if that one works.
Yeah, he takes it, nods, and goes to get the stasis pod, synced up with it.
Can you handle things down here, Ray? I still need to get up to the bridge to see if we can get that nav data.
Do you need me for that?
Possibly.
Call me if you need me. Things should be fine here.
I make my way to the elevator then.
Okay.
I remember before I had access to the security information on when the doors open up and stuff. Would I be able to access that from this terminal or no?
Can you repeat that?
I was able to get a security information before about when doors were opening and shutting and that sort of thing. I remember I pulled a log. I was wondering, is there any chance I could access that from this terminal to see if there's any access in areas that nobody's supposed to be in while I'm doing this diagnostic?
You technically dumped the information to a chip and sent
it
back to Sarah.
I probably couldn't access a real-time feed from this terminal is what I was wondering.
No.
Okay.
I mean, like, you could always, like, calm Sarah and ask, like, something. But yeah, you don't have, like, a direct feed.
I copy that.
You'd have to basically turn all power off to the ship in order to get, like, something like that. Okay, so, Ray...
Ray is currently AFK, getting food.
Oh, okay. I guess Twitch, yeah, you get to the elevator. You see the access panels open to the side, but the elevator still has power, like now that Akron has restored, emergency power to vital systems, such as the primary elevator. I take it you step in, like you're about to get in there, and Pharixis like kind of not jogs, but like tumbles up the corridor. He's not very graceful at all. He ends up like at the elevator.
I look aghast and try to dodge the incoming Carthan missile.
Yeah, he like impacts the door jam.
No one's there to look now, so I'm going to slow him down with telekinetics.
Okay, yeah, that works.
Take it easy, big guy. You want to come too? We're going up to the bridge to see if we can get that data.
Yeah, he nods, and he hefts a like you see he's got basically an equivalent of a monkey wrench, and he says, weird stuff on the ship. People, you shouldn't go off alone.
Yep, true enough. I do believe there's no air set to be on the bridge, so we'll be out of atmosphere, as it were, when we're up there.
He nods, and begins putting on his helmet. It looks like he probably needs a little bit of help with it.
Okay. Do you want me to roll something for that, or?
No. It just takes a minute or so. Like you get him to turn around. He looks a little bit embarrassed.
Not everybody was born in space.
Yeah, he looks a little bit almost sick.
Hopefully it won't be like this for much longer.
Yeah.
Well, the bright side, we might have to go get some atmosphere. Perhaps we can have a short stay on that planet. The sensor said it was breathable, if thin. Perhaps you can actually get some leg room then, and actually be in gravity for a while.
All right, so Twitch still gone? Or not Twitch, Ray?
Yes, it shouldn't be very long. It's like a taco thing. He has the heat up.
Okay. Do you guys want to take like a 2-minute break here to let everybody use the bathroom and whatnot?
We can do that.
Okay. All right.
See you in 2 minutes.
I am back. So, Victor, I take it you're still here.
Yep.
So, were you having to head out early? I didn't really quite catch the entirety of your message.
Yeah, Jill's leaving tonight, so she might be here between 7 and 7:30. When she gets here, I probably need to help her out with some stuff and that sort of thing. She's gone for the rest of the week after that.
Oh, so that's like 10:30 for us. Okay, that's still
Yeah,
quite a
so
while
it's like
away.
an hour 40 minutes, right around there. So yeah, sorry that I have to leave a little early. Certainly nothing against
Oh, it's fine.
the scenario. Just have to see her off and help her with some stuff.
All right. Now what?
Is everybody back? Okay.
I've returned.
Yeah.
Let me swallow my breadstick.
My taco salad.
I already ate mine earlier.
So, Ray, I'm curious if you're doing like any sort of diagnostic on either of your patients, or if you're trying to interact with Malcolm. I mean, like Akron's going to be in the engineering room for like in the next hour. Twitch and Phrixus are heading up to the bridge. I imagine they're going to be up there for some time. So, like, I'd like to know what you're doing. You've successfully stabilized this guy.
Kind of say I'm sorry for shooting him. It was kind of a spur at the moment decision. When you have a guy with a wrench coming at your face, it kind of makes a difference.
Malcolm says. Yeah, Malcolm says. Like, he doesn't look like he holds it really against you. He says, he just kind of shakes his head in bewilderment. He's like, I can't fathom why he would do that. I mean, Bennett's been on the crew for a year, and I wouldn't call him the gentle sort, but he's not gruff. He's polite. That I've never seen him get in a fight with anyone.
No abnormal blood levels. I don't know. Maybe space drove him mad.
Are you doing like an actual diagnostic of him? Because before you were just looking for contaminants.
Well, it does full DNA sequencing.
DNA sequencing
Of anything on the body, I would think.
DNA doesn't show like physical. Like, would DNA sequencing show the fact that you just got shot? No. Like, I treated that your medical tool did that, but you had to ask me. Like, DNA doesn't say that you have a cold, for instance. Like, I mean, like, think about what DNA tells you. Like, you can't change DNA unless you're mutated or something.
Okay.
Well, there's not a question mark at the end of that statement, Foster. I mean, like,
he has just told you the scan will give you the information, but you have to ask him to tell you it.
yeah, like, otherwise, like, it gives you DNA stuff, but DNA doesn't tell you that, like, this guy has a clogged artery or something. That's not relevant to his
Okay,
genetic
so
structure.
I look at the full output that my...
So, it's very clear that he has some sort of brain damage. As like, this is not something that shows up in an immediate scan. Like, you're having to scan him for several minutes. And I'd like to get a tech medical roll from you. Because it gives you a series of possible diagnoses, like, as to causes why, but, like, it's up to the medical professional to learn to know how to use the tool. It could be like several of the things that the computer highlights is that like some sort of strong blow to the head may have given him some brain damage. But there is no evidence of like actual cranial trauma.
Lack of oxygen?
Yes, that is definitely on the list. Do you kind of pursue that line of inquiry?
Yeah.
So looking at his blood levels, like blood platelet levels, and maybe like doing a thorough diagnostic of the cells in his lungs, definitely indicates that it's more than likely that he was undergoing some form of asphyxiation, and he might have had some sort of brain damage due to a prolonged lack of oxygen.
I mentioned that. I discussed this with Malcolm. Yeah. It's likely that he has some possible brain damage. Looks like he suffered from oxygen loss for an extended period of time.
He looks very, I don't want to say sad, but just like, I guess sad is the correct term. He just says, that's horrible. If we had known he was out there, we would have tried to find him, but we couldn't reach him on his suit, and he just shakes his head.
I'm not in the room, but
the shuttle is absent. Perhaps he found it.
Could he have piloted a shuttle with brain damage? I'm not a medical professional.
He was coercive enough to wield a wet wrench. Muscle memory, maybe. I don't know.
There's also a locker
know for
room
sure.
up at the shuttle bay, not damaged. Not that I'm there, you know.
So, like, yeah, going to you, Twitch. we go to deck 1.
Dum dum dum.
So you guys reach deck 1. You wait while the elevator depressurizes.
Worth noting. Does the elevator have power again?
Yeah.
Okay, because I say we stole the battery from it. That's why.
Yeah, we covered that.
Okay.
You like the door opens, and you are admitted to like a long, like horizontal hallway running along the ship. There is a sign that points the way to the bridge on your left. There's a sign that points to computer control and sensors a little bit off to your right, towards a door.
I hate to imagine what's kept in the captain's wardrobe.
It's not wardrobe. It's wardroom.
Right, sorry.
Are you sure?
I'm sure she has a captain's wardrobe in her captain's quarters.
Are you sure the wardroom isn't now expanded closet Mark III?
That's just what it's listed. So yeah, you're deposited there. Phrixus, gives you maybe 3 or 4 feet of leeway before following you at all times, just because he knows he's very clumsy.
From what I remember, the bridge should be on the left here.
He points to the sign.
Ah, yes. Let's make our way there. Did Akon restore power to the bridge, or do I need to comms him up about that?
He restored emergency power. Like full ship lights and stuff, including gravity, are not online. But like there's these like faint running lights along the upper sides of the corridor. And like the doors actually open when you get to them. So
part of me
so yeah,
is so scared to ask. Do the refreshers work without gravity? Or are they like space refreshers, or I got to worry about a mess in there or open one up?
They, you being a spacer know that most refreshers are designed to work in gravity, but ships often unload cargo in 0G, and so they're designed to be like, mess safe in the event of a loss of gravity. There's also a probability that the refreshers here are designed for 0G use as well, although, like, it would be the equivalent of going to the bathroom in the space shuttle.
Okay, just curious. Like to cover it before I opened one and suddenly had,
That was a very smart question to ask, though.
Yes, it was.
It's been very ugly.
Okay, I make my way to the bridge.
Yeah, you get to the bridge, and yeah,
first,
the door.
But first, though, I want to check to see if that arms locker has been raided or not.
Oh, you get there, and it does not open.
Oh, well, I guess that answers part of the question. The bridge,
like there's basically a key code, and like the lock asks you for a passcode.
Okay, well, later then. I was curious to see if someone had shot someone with a gun that was taken from there or something. But I can't open it. That's not being answered right now. So onto the bridge.
All right, so yeah, you move across the hall and into the bridge. Currently, the bridge shutters are closed, but you've been on the Zephius to know that this bridge actually does have a glass bridge. That's considered fairly hazardous on most designs, which is why they have the blast shutters. But on a lot of more, rugged, primitive ships, it's good to have the Mark I eyeball in case systems go down. So there's kind of a benefit, even if it's structural weakness. You wouldn't find it on some sort of combat ship.
Oh, you said Mark I eyeball. I was thinking about a probe droid of some kind at that point, but I got you now.
No. There's basically there's on your right
You said it, and I somehow saw do all ships have this roving red eye on the front or something they use instead of windscreens, and then it hit me. Oh,
no.
never mind.
On your right, there's like a small sensor operators station at the back of the bridge, like to the left of the door. It's basically where the captain would sit. On the far left, there's another systems operation terminal, and then seated at the front of the bridge, in kind of a depression, you have to go down some steps. Is the pilot's seat, and there is a you know that the navigation is run from the systems terminal here.
Yeah, I'll go have a look. Which and any or all of said consoles are actually active on emergency power?
Okay, so they're all all the screens are blank. You go to the far terminal, and you swipe a hand across it, and it blinks on, and it starts powering up. It was obviously in emergency standby mode, and it starts blinking through its OS boot up system, and it gets to it gets into the systems log. What do you intend to do?
I wish to check on its knowledge of the navigational data we're after, but I also need to look at if any got system event logs or anything of that nature that could be useful in understanding what actually happened.
Yeah, you definitely have the option. You're seeing here, nothing has been tampered with, and the data has not been corrupted or anything. You can download I guess I shouldn't say you can download. You can see the files. There's an admin list for basically the ship's logs. These aren't the logs that you guys would verbally say. These are the ship keeps an automatic log of things, and it says last accessed, and it was actually just today. It doesn't give a username, but it was by Acheron. You can plug in your compad and download those to that. You plug in your compad to download the nav data, and you get a red flashing warning, and it says passcode locked.
Would Sin have given me said passcode if she wanted the data? Unless it's been changed.
She didn't mention that it would require a passcode, but I think she would have given you, and only you, maybe an emergency access code if you needed to. It's the captain's backup code, and it's a 6-digit code that you could punch in that she gave you in the event that you needed to access something that was restricted. But she didn't specifically mention that this nav data would be locked down.
Well, I tried that code. Can it be exactly enough digits to type out "I am the best" or something like that?
Yeah, we'll go with that. You know Sin pretty well, and you type that in, and it says code invalid, and beneath it says
over the comms perhaps to offer some assistance.
Beneath that, it says where did my notes go? Access restricted by Navigation Officer Murphy. This definitely does not strike you as normal.
Definitely not.
Comes over to Twitch, asking if he heard the sound of a Model 7 keypad droid, or not a keypad droid,
keypad droid.
Model 7 keypad. I'll probably ask failing a security check.
Give me a perception roll. I'm joking. Oh wow! Totally. All right. Well, I guess you just choose this moment to open comms, and you hear a access denied.
Yes, Acheron. It appears that the navigational data we need has been locked out by our dead Miss Murphy down in the maintenance room. This is not normal procedure at all, and the backup code that is like the captain's, the captain's override code that Sin gave me is not working.
Would Akron know how large the actual computer that stores this stuff in this universe would be?
Isn't it the ship
Or
core?
at least the storage
You've been
device
there.
that would store it.
You've been down to the computer core. There's no detachable hard drive for the very reason that somebody could just plug something in and take the data if they didn't have the passcode. So you could plug in basically an external hard drive into the computer core, but in order to transfer the data, you would have to have, permission to transfer the data. This is basically a tower. If you look at Deck 3, you see the computer core down there? That runs all the way up into the bottom of Deck 2. And there's a tower that's bigger than the Hallex 9000 aboard your shuttle. That's the computer core.
I have a question. What would be the safest path for my probe droid to reach Twitch that I would know of? Is there a way for it to get there? If somebody used the lift, maybe called the lift for it? Or...
Safest or easiest? You don't I'm gonna preface that you don't necessarily know of any dangers. You could just potentially send him down that blocked hallway.
Yeah, I would say easiest as long as it can go through the blocked hallway with minimum.
Yeah, you could just send him straight
I didn't
through.
Want it to get smacked up.
Straight through, because it looked like somebody could potentially get through there, and the probe droid probably could.
You could also send him outside if you wanted to, through the secondary airlock. I don't think I'll cycle it, but...
I'm going to tell Twitch that I'm sending the probe droid down the hall. It has the manipulator arm right now, so it's going to be able, I guess, to call the elevator. I'm going to say that I'm sending it up to you to assist you with overriding that lock.
How do you feel about somebody assisting you with a remote hack via a probe droid, Twitch?
Not entirely excited about it. So, you're going to tell me, Akron, that for potentially highly important information that could be worth probably millions of dollars, you're going to send a droid to come help me hack the system.
Akron says that he's not sure if he's still needed down here engineering. The way things are going, he might be needed for some sort of an emergency.
You know, Akron, it strikes me as it takes you 5 minutes to walk up there over the comms.
If I go up there, I have to go all the way up to the cargo elevator, right, Star?
Yeah, and then you have to exit the ship.
Akron's going to Akron's going to ask Ray if she remembers how hard it was to get here in the first place. It's going to take him a while to get back, and right now he's not sure that it's a wise idea to leave this section.
No, I guess I can wait for your drone to give it a go. I mean, the system's locked as it is, right? I guess it couldn't lock me out or something of that nature? It could.
I think that the drone is going to be able to get there much faster because it's going to be able to take the shortcut right through the center of the hallway.
You look at it, and it obviously listens to you for a few seconds, and then the drone starts hovering out through the doors, and it disappears down the hall.
Drop open a pip in my AR, I guess in my engineering display for the probe droid. Make sure I'm watching it as it goes along.
So,
I guess we're waiting a little bit for that droid. I guess let's see if there's anything important in the wardrobe, in the wardroom, shall we?
Actually, you know what? One other thing Akron's gonna do while this is happening, just because since this whole shooting thing, I'm feeling less comfortable with our ship's safety. Periodically, I might check in on Max since I have his remote camera access, and see if there's anything crazy happening on the ship.
Didn't you leave Max on the ship this time? I think.
Yeah, exactly. Why I want to check in with him. I want to check in with him because he's on the ship every now and then and see if there's anything crazy happening there.
Kiros is there too.
Well, yeah, but I just like to take an occasional glance.
You could calm the ship and talk to Kiros if you want to.
I know, but I don't want to set Kyrgios on edge, so I'm trying to avoid doing that. He's been a little nervous with our antics lately, and I want to make him remain calm. Every now and then, I might just check in on him.
Technically, he probably needs a status update.
Odd happening from his camera.
Okay, so you go to access Max's camera, and you see Max floating through the hallway of the Nasara. You hear like a faint humming in the background. You realize that he's like alternating his engine turbines to hum, and he's just kind of like hovering down the corridor, and you see, you see the Carthan woman kind of like coming out of one of the rooms and like moving across the hall, like catches sight of the droid and then moves into one of the other rooms. All right, is there anything specifically you're looking out for? Like, I think Kyros is not in sight.
I sent a text message to Max, and I figure this is going to kind of go over his display. It's going to be weird to just text message Max, but I'll just send him a message that to watch the ship. There could be danger. We do not want to endanger Twitch.
You get like bracket query, define danger.
Unknown. Be alert.
Alert status set to 1. Danger unknown does not compute, and like it continues to like kind of swivel about and just hover around the ship.
Background every now and then check in on him. He's not going to alarm Max more than that.
Okay. So you decided to go. I guess about now, Ray, you guys have the stasis pod ready to go. Like it's successfully hooked up. Somebody's space taped the battery to the side of the stasis pod and unhooked the stasis pod from its mooring, and you can basically just kind of float it through the corridor. Do you want to go ahead and get it back to the Nasara, and do you leave the patient here?
Yeah, I'd probably want to go ahead and float it and get it set up in the cargo hold of the Nasara.
Okay.
And
right.
yeah, I'd probably leave the other patient there. He's stable right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So over our comms, I'm like, okay, now moving our cryopod patient to the Nasara cargo bay.
As you're doing so, you see like a black sphere just float through the corridor and head to the elevator. It extends a little manipulator and presses a button, and it just sits here kind of hovering up and down, waiting for the elevator.
I was worried there for a minute.
This black, ominous sphere floats by. It looks like it's a pulsing dark energy. No,
it's the torture bot from Star Wars Episode 4.
Yeah, I get
it's just
that.
smaller.
I got that now, but the first time you said it, I thought like a sphere of dark energy hovers through the hallway.
Background to pipe over the comms again. I can look through its eyes as it pulls up on Twitch and say that go ahead and open up the front panel and take the universal connector port out and connect it into the port you should find on the bottom side of that keypad, maybe on the bottom left, depending if it's an A or B.
Yeah, so like a little port opens up on the probe once it gets up to the bridge, and
damn it, this
like
is
you're
the
looking...
model with the screwed-in port.
Yeah, and like you see, there's some connector cables, and like he talks you through wiring it in.
Okay.
Once it's plugged in, I'm gonna open another main window on my engineering glasses, and I am going to look over the system and see if I have a way to crack into it. If I do not, I might send Sarah after.
It's a standard operating system. It's a little older than some ships. Give me a computer's roll.
Jesus, that was a bad roll.
And now roll that again.
Jesus! Fate wants me to be 7. I take it that's not enough to get in.
Yeah. You determine that, like, it would take you quite some time to hack through this. Like, you're maybe not used to hacking into, like, a system this old. You could potentially do it, but it might take a few hours. It occurs to you that it would be fastest to potentially find the access code.
There's one other thing Akron wants to try then.
Does the system say when the code was changed?
One more thing Akron wants to try before he starts to look for the access code.
Man, I keep losing my timeline. It was, I'm gonna give it to you in rough dates. It was locked down after the ship, entered the system, and after Cynthia left, but before, shit hit the fan in terms of the, extreme, depressurization and hull damage.
I'm gonna call Ray to see if she can find out if Malcolm knew which room belonged to Vivian.
Do you want me to ask him about the comm lockout or the navigation lockout?
You can if you want to. It seems likely to me that if she had a code, she may have written it down, and it might be in her room because it wasn't on her person, right?
So as we're carrying this cryopod, I'm like, Malcolm, you know anything about a navigation data lockout on the bridge?
Yeah, like you guys are kind of occasionally banging the side of the pod up against the corridor because you're in 0G, but like not enough to damage the pod.
We're trying to determine if this ship could possibly move.
Yeah, and you say that, and like it's like you guys are doing one thing, and then you ask him about quantum physics, and he looks at you and he's like, "Wait, what?" Like you just completely changed the subject, even though you guys weren't really talking. He's like, because he can't hear what you guys are talking about, and he didn't really know that there was that going on. There's a lockout in progress. The nav data. Did Sin do that?
It says it was locked by Miss Murphy. That's the kind of glance. That's what the computer says.
Again, he looks very baffled. He says, "No, I don't know anything about that."
While this is going on, I'm going to be throwing some firewalls up on Sarah, and then I'm going to ask her if she can take an attempt to reach the nav data. This should be interesting. I don't know how this is going to play out.
You're going to throw what at Sarah?
I'm going to ask Sarah if she can take a crack at getting the navigation data from the system directly once I put firewalls up on her.
She says, I will not have direct access to the system. A firewall will not be necessary. I will only be remotely controlling it. I do not know if I will have any greater luck than you would, Akron. I can try, however.
Akron nods and says that if you cannot, we will have to accomplish it by physical means. But I believe I've seen you do amazing things.
I believe I have determined several digits of the code, but this interface is highly frustrating.
Background will nod and say that it is wisely disliked. Everyone, I don't know why they still put them in ships.
I am referring more to the probe. It is most inefficient.
Akron will look up and say that he will get on attempting to upgrade that as soon as possible. It is the temporary housing only.
I can give you 3 of the 7 digits. I may need more time if I am to continue the rest. It could be helpful. She says.
I guess Akron's going to keep on trying to get in for the second, unless he's needed for something else. Maybe assisting Sarah with it.
I thought you were working on the engine.
Oh yeah, you know what? That's a good point. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the engine. I'm gonna call up Twitch and ask if he can. You think he has a chance of getting the access code? I don't think we're gonna be able to get into the system.
I will certainly try to find the access code. I feel that if Miss Murphy may have written down, or perhaps something related to it, may be found in her room.
Akron, on your
to go ahead and continue the attempt while I'm going back to the engineering and perhaps experiment with new techniques.
Akron, you're as you get that message from Twitch, your comms once again kind of alight with Sarah's voice, and she says, "I am reading in the ship's archive that Miss Murphy's quarters were in crew quarters 04."
Akron will definitely smile at that. Then after thinking, we'll reply back and tell everyone that they might want to try quarter 0304. You said it was
04.
No, 04. I'm gonna say everybody want to try quarter 04.
Okay.
Might be a good place to start.
I'll start heading that way then with Phrixus. I'll go check it out. The damage display we downloaded earlier said that was one of the damaged sectors, though. We'll see what we find.
Roger that.
All right, so Ray, you eventually cross into the Nasara. Airlock cycles behind you, and you know there's a disorienting moment when you cross into gravity, and the stasis pod suddenly becomes much heavier, but it's a much shorter distance, and you guys are able to barely get it to the cargo bay. The cargo bay has like all sorts of straps and cargo hooks on the walls, and then on the floors and the ceilings, like there are pull-out hooks and bars that you can use. You can most certainly secure it in here, and there's probably a power hookup that you can use. So yeah, it only takes a little bit of time, and you can hook it up to the ship's main system.
Is this set up, or can it be set up so that it's plugged into the ship's power, but it still uses the battery as a backup? Is that a thing?
Give me a post-tech roll. You could most certainly attempt that.
Post-tech is, I think, 0. That's 1, right? Intelligence? 0.
Yeah.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Ray slash Krios for some reason.
Why am I Krios?
Your icon on the big icon is Ray. Your little icon is
refresh it on
Krios.
your end and it'll work star.
That's weird, because I'm waiting on both images on mine. I was like, okay.
It's just weird that you're Ray on one icon and Krios on the other for me.
It does that. If you refresh it, it'll fix it.
It's not a big deal. I just looked over there, and for the first time I noticed that Krios was present. Krios is somehow a master of post-tech.
What is this metal thing that shoots
you hook
around
it up
objects?
to where if the bay loses power, it'll switch to using the battery. It'll only give it a couple hours, but yeah, you successfully do that. That was a very intelligent thing to do. And Malcolm looks around the ship and he says, Star Skipper. Huh. Oh, not bad shape. He kind of like tows a panel, and he's
been on the ship before. He rode it up to the bay with us.
Yeah, that's true. He hasn't really been on the ship that long though. He tows a panel and he looks impressed.
He works
that it
well for
fall
us.
Apart.
I like unopaque my face panel. If it wasn't, I don't know. I don't know if you could see me or not, but I'd stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. All right. So Twitch, you head down to where are you going?
I'm going to crew quarters 4 through the mess hall airlock.
Okay. All right. So you enter your habitable section again. You go to your primitive but functional airlock that you guys have set up, and once again kind of emerge into the vacuum of the more or less uninhabitable section of the crew quarters, and you move your way to the starboard side of the ship. You've thus far not actually been here. It seems like one of the power conduits running through the wall seems to have blown, and it's not horrendous damage, but you can definitely see some. The room on your left, marked 05, is shut down. Same with 4. At the other end of the hall, it seems like pretty much all the doors are shut.
Okay. I want to try to cycle the door on crew quarters 4.
All right. So you press the button to cycle open crew quarters 4, and you get and you get like the familiar tone of a door jam. And like you see a red light and it said door mechanism malfunction.
Seems that we have a door jam, Phyrexius. Like to assist me in my hacking attempts.
He looks at you like oh. He like brings out the wrench again.
Yes, precisely, my good man.
So what are you gonna try to do?
I want to see if he can pry the door open to assist the mechanism in it actually working.
All right. He looks at it, and like he puts his fingers around it, and he says, no place to pry. Gotta get it open first.
Right. Can I open a panel on the wall to examine said mechanism that is jammed?
Oh, most definitely. All right, so yeah, you pop open a panel. You have a knife or something on you, or a multi-tool?
I have a meta-tool, yes.
Yeah, you slide out like a part of your meta-tool, and you pop open a panel, and you can see like the inner mechanisms seem to be fried. The door definitely looks like it's probably never going to operate under power again without like a serious overhaul. But you can see where the mechanism is definitely like locked down, and there is probably a way to just manually release it. Can you give me a post-tech roll?
I can do that. A post-tech is a 1 + 1, so 2. 6 + 2 it is, and
wow.
10.
Yeah, you get it in there. You put your multi-tool in, and you think you find the jam, and you jiggle it a little bit, and then you like put a lot of pressure, and something pops open, and like a bolt actually floats out. And there's a chunk. There's a chunk that you feel through the door, and it edges open just maybe a centimeter, and Phyrexius gives you like a Carthan thumbs up, and he starts to kind of pry it away with his fingers.
Released now, but
yeah, he starts to pry it open. Pry it open like enough with his fingers to get like a grip with the wrench, and then he starts to wrench the door open. And this is not one that's actually damaged, so I'm not going to make him roll a strength check. He can just do this in about a minute or so. And yeah, he eventually like jiggles the door, and then kind of slides it into the wall. You see him kind of tumble back down the corridor a bit, and then he catches himself on one of the safety rails, and he looks back to you and gives you a nod, and he starts climbing his way back towards you. And you have like an entry point to crew quarters 04.
I have a look inside.
Yeah, so your light shines in, and even though there's emergency power in the rest of the sections, there's no power in here. Um, it seems like that power conduit that blew in the wall. It was the same. It's like the wall that this crew quarters shared. Definitely some damage. Not like a tremendous amount though. Um, there's some debris floating about. Looks like a panel came loose from the wall. Um, there's a bunk here. You see some feminine clothes. There's a like a storage compartment that's open, and there's some some more clothing and some odds and ends kind of tumbling out.
She might have had like a notebook. I don't know what they call it in this game anymore, but the data pad, I think it is.
Yeah,
she had a data pad, or she kept a journal, or something like that.
You see a desk on the other end of the room where there's like a light and like a plugged in but powered down computer, and you see like I think you make your way towards it, and you see floating above it, like up against the ceiling, some detritus of what was probably on top of the desk, and you see like a data pad on top of that, or I guess above the desk.
I wish to try to access a data pad and turn it on. If the batteries are dead, I have Type A power cells.
Yeah, so like you pull a Type A power cell out after the thing refuses to turn on, and you slot it in. Frix just kind of meanders around the room looking at things. Like he picks up a hollow picture, and when he picks it up, it powers on, and it gives like a holographic display of like kind of vaguely the woman that you guys saw, although like she looks fairly different. And then she's holding hands with another woman. And they seem to be on some sort of fairly nice looking world. It looks like your sort of standard vacation planet, maybe. You slot the power into the comm pad, and it boots up. Yeah, there's no password on this one. It seems to be like a personal thing.
I was gonna say use unlock pattern.
No, nothing like that. It goes to like, it basically her comm pad desktop.
Okay, I have a look in recent documents. Or,
so there seems to be letters.
Universe Word 2000 and 3062 or whatever year it is.
Yeah, 3221 Word 3221. Although the place where you are, it's probably like Word 3200. You you see like a bunch of archived messages from one Genevieve church, and those seem to be going back like many months. You see a couple messages from like a couple other people. Like these are more like one-off messages. It looks like this one was like for buying a specific thing when she was on Port Atraxis or something like that. There's a little bit of correspondence between her and Sin. You also see I guess you're scrolling through here, and you see a series of personal logs that are definitely like audio files.
Yep, I will listen to those. The emails are interesting, and I probably will look at them later in the event that like it's someone we need to contact about her death. But that's not what I'm looking for at this exact moment. I doubt she would have put such a code in an email.
Yeah. So, do you go to like the most recent log?
Yes.
All right.
Let's recent first, and then play back in previous order if it's necessary.
So, it's like a log dated for obviously the time frame after Sin left and before like the big explosion, and it starts off with like if there's no like navigation officer's log or anything, she just starts talking, and she says, "Another boring day on the Zephius in this unnamed star system. If I was 10 or 15 years younger, this might have been the most exciting time of my life."
It's worth noting. Do I have to take this back into the mess hall to actually hear it? Because there's no atmosphere in the area?
Probably yes.
Okay, I will do so then.
Yeah, so you got this happens like 5 minutes later. It probably would have been like the most exciting time of my life, charting a new star system. I'm not exactly an astrologist, but being a navigator, this is the sort of thing that only happens once every several decades nowadays. Finding something new. But I'm so tired of star travel. I just want to be done with it. And like she kind of rambles on from there. She says Malcolm's trying to keep everybody together, but he's having a hard time. Nobody really knows what they want to do with the data, and there's been a lot of talk about potentially selling it to interests back on Port Atraxis. Sin had some very heavy disagreements with that, and I think that might have been why she ended up leaving. Although, to be honest, she left so suddenly and so secretly that it was very abrupt, and I don't know why. It was very shocking, and I think Malcolm felt it most of all. But we've been making do. We've been trying to get the ship working again. We're still not sure why exactly the engines aren't running. Gela keeps telling us that she's only a day or two away from getting it figured out. But we've been here for what? It has to be 2 or 3 weeks now, just floating here. Everyone was worried about the life support system, but we've definitely got a plan in motion to hopefully take care of that, and we've certainly got enough food to hold us over. And I think the prospect of however much money we get from whoever we sell it to is probably calming some nerves. You skip forward a little bit, and there's not a whole lot on that one, so you go back one to the next tape. She's talking about like her day, not a whole lot interesting. You probably hone in on more discussion about the data, and she says Malcolm and Grofin.
Sorry.
Malcolm and Grofin have convinced Bennett that it would be in our best interest, in every sense of the word, to sell the data to Darkstar. I'm of two minds of this, but to be quite honest, I'm so tired of everything here. I think they might be right. They might be space pirates, but getting on their good side is just as good as getting the credits from them. And we could operate safely out here with their blessing if we gave them something like this. I know Rail was pretty adamant that we should turn it over to one of the colonial authorities. Although I don't think Sin was really into that. I think she wanted to turn it over to Prenor. Poor Gela, though. She's definitely... She hasn't said much. And to be honest, I don't blame her. After her experiences with her own colony, I can only really imagine what she's going through. But it's going to come down to a decision, and I'm not sure what we're going to do with it. So yeah, like you get some information, but you don't get any like strict codes. You do see, however, that there is a corrupted log that looked like it was an audio log that was it was the process of being recorded when like power was lost to the device.
Comms background's like, I got some audio files on a compad from Vivian's room. Most of them is information about the possible dealings and tension aboard the ship. Not much here about the code. There is a more recent log, however, that was seems to have been corrupted because the device shut off mid-recording. I don't know if you can do something about that. I'm sending you the data now.
So yeah, Cred's going to definitely receive the data and take a look at it for a second, see if there's some maybe corruption utility he has handy to try to run it through to restore it as much as he can.
Yeah, give me a computers test. Yeah. Yeah, it's not like it's encrypted or anything. It's just like it lost power and the file didn't save properly. And you're able to restore what was still there.
I'm going to say that I think I might have a playable version, and I'm going to pop it open and see if I can play that across the network connection here to everybody's video feed.
I doubt there's
I
any
guess
video.
Ray doesn't have a video. I don't know if Ray has video feed, but I'm going to. Well, I guess it's an audio feed only, isn't it? Anyway.
Yeah, it's just an audio
yeah.
log.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I'm going to dump it over the audio feed then. I'll play it over the comms for everybody on our group.
So this one is more recent. It's approximately like a week ago, roughly about the time of the explosion, and it starts out mid-recording. Part of it was apparently cut out. I think we lost Rail. Everyone's sure Bennett is dead. No one's sure what to do. The crew is a mess. I need to tell Malcolm what I suspect, but it's just so absurd. And like there's like it's not static. It's like it's basically just data corruption. It skips forward a little bit. I've locked down the nav data to make sure she can't delete it. The code is 3214980. I have to talk to Malcolm. I don't know. I don't know if I should confront her first or not, though. The state of the crew is in. If I throw allegations like this around, someone could find themselves out the airlock. And that's basically like I've got to decide. And that's she says. Genevieve, I wish you were here to tell me what I should do. It's been very lonely out here, and I don't think we're going to make it after all. And that's like the end of the recording.
Well, you have the code now. I'm curious about this other she deleted. Ship's computer, maybe? Sin was already gone at the time of this message, and she's the only other female on the crew.
Hello.
Oh, I guess it's true. It is true. Gela counts. She wasn't listed as female in my initial documentation, but she is now.
In your initial documentation, you should also see that Rail is also a female Priothan.
Ah, yes, that's true. Huh. But the messages we listened to Rail was already in containment at this time, right?
You suspect that that's so? So
Akron's
yeah.
gonna just suggest that it sounds like there was more to this than Twitch might have been told, and that we should just worry about what I think best for us and getting the people off the ship, and I think that's where it should end, Twitch. If we need to make perhaps we might want to not even necessarily, we might give her cargo back, but yeah, he's gonna kind of trail off from there. See what Twitch's reaction is.
Well, the ship does belong to Sin. I think it's best to return it to her if possible.
Ekran nods and says, perhaps I think we should jump the ship into an abandoned system first and then go talk to her before just returning the ship straight back to the base. We wanted to do that for the
I do sort of
anyway,
agree that
but
jumping it to Port Atraxis in its current state doesn't seem very intelligent, but
thinking we should reveal the
this is the most abandoned system you could find.
Yeah, this is true.
Akron.
I suppose that is true, but she knows where it is. I'm kind of wanting to ask her a few questions when she doesn't know where it is.
Could bring it to what's his face's space dock.
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah,
Mr. Tucker.
She's the one that referred him to us in the first place, right?
Yeah, I think so.
We landed at Mr. Tucker's space dock, and like, hey Sid, I just had your ship come in. Do you know anything about that? You owe me a lot of money.
Yeah. So what do you guys do? Like you're there in the mess hall with
have you been
Phrixus.
discussing like that Gela was the one who was the previous person trying to analyze the ship and whatnot?
Yeah, Gela's the engineer.
I was saying, have they been talking about that over the comms?
This whole conversation was
the audio logs we had stated
comms.
that she had some problems with it, some type of personal reasons. It's quite possible that she's the one that the she is referring to. If she had problems with it due to her past or something, she may have wanted to just go on in the first place. Something about colony issues, I believe.
I'd probably go and talk to her about like what work she has done, what she found that's wrong, that kind of thing.
the navigational data, just not tell her about it, and relock it with a different password afterwards. I mean, the original password owner is dead anyways.
Akron's suggesting once we get the data, we perhaps even go as far as
Akron, have you discovered what's wrong with the engineering section yet?
Still working on it. I'm gonna reply. I'm attempting to reroute power so we can.
What you did, Akron, is you, in lieu of figuring out what was wrong, you just decided to do a short fix.
Exactly.
I go and talk to Gela about what she's done and that kind of thing. It might be helpful.
Can you elaborate on what she's done and that kind of thing?
As far as I know, she hasn't done anything as far as the navigational data. She may have had some problems concerning how it was going to be used.
It mentions ship repairs and stuff.
Yeah, so can you have this conversation with me? Because like that is an extraordinarily vague sort of thing.
Foster?
Well, I'm sorry. Miss Gela.
So like you go to find Gela.
Yeah, she's on board our ship, I think, right?
Yeah,
she's wandering around.
She's in the lounge, I think. Just I think like looking at a view of the star system. Like not like a chart, just like a camera view of the star system on the big monitor.
So I walk around looking for her for a little bit, and eventually I find her in the lounge. I offer her a drink. She's obviously been through a lot. Probably take my helmet off because we're in our ship.
What do you like? You offer her alcohol?
Something that I know would not be toxic to her species.
Well,
I'm not sure.
Alcohol is generally not toxic
It's
to
not?
Carthans.
Okay. Well, then I
there's
just offer
probably
her.
some sort. She declines.
Okay.
Like she says, no, thank you.
I'm told that you're the ship's engineer.
She nods and she holds up her two basically unusable hands, and then her third mostly unusable hand, and she says, "That's how these happened."
We're attempting to diagnose the damage to your ship. Any information that you could provide would be helpful. I know you've been through a lot, but if we could bring your ship back, it might be It might be advantageous to you versus having nothing.
You have someone in the engineering department?
Yeah, we have one guy. We have a guy down there. You've probably seen the black droid thing. That's him. Sorry, he does that a lot.
Ray, you notice her like perk up a little bit when you mention that somebody's in engineering. And she sits a little bit straighter in the chair, or I guess the lounger. She says, "What do you need to know?"
It appears from what he said that your quantum tap is working, but it doesn't have any connections to the system. Do you know the extent of the damage, stuff like that? Anything? I'm not an amazing engineer myself. I'm the doctor, but I'm just going off what he said.
She says that there was some sort of magnetic anomaly when we entered the system, and I think it demagnetized one of the primary conduits.
I'm feeding what she says through to Akron.
I couldn't locate the source, however.
Actually, I put Akron on speaker. Akron, I'll put you on speaker.
Do you give him speaker, or do you just have him listen?
I give him speaker for now.
Okay.
See, I told her, like, I'm gonna patch you through to the guy that's in engineering. See if you can help him.
She's like, hello.
So you're saying you couldn't spot the origin of the problem? Why didn't you just work around it? At least get the tap drive functional again.
No, the pathways were demagnetized. I'm not sure what sort of anomaly happened to us, but
anything she's saying make any sense to me?
I was waiting for you to ask that question. Give me a tech astronautics roll with intelligence. Yeah. So, like, as possible that, magnetic interference can interfere with a drive's function. However, it shouldn't have complicated it to this amount. Like, she should have been able to figure out where it is. And the other thing is, it occurs to you that you guys didn't have that problem when you entered the system. It's definitely not it's not blatantly off, but
does it sound like sabotage to me, or does it sound like she's lying to me?
I can't tell you that.
I mean, I'm just wondering which way.
I'm going to tell you that it doesn't sound like it's impossible, but there are parts of what she's telling you that don't seem to make sense. Like, they don't seem to add up.
Ah, I see.
I can't tell you what you draw from that conclusion.
Akron's gonna say he will get her comms information if he can, so he can contact her if he needs to again, and then he's going to send a text message to the others, or text message just to Twitch, actually. It's gonna say she's hiding something, I think, and that's all I'm gonna say in the text message. But I'll just play along and thank her for her help, and they say I'm gonna call her back if I have further questions, and then Going to go back and try to reroute this power here.
Akron, when you send that message, you just get a message from Sarah, and she says, on what basis do you draw this conclusion, Akron? How can you determine if someone is hiding something from you without data?
Probably going to roll over the unlikelihood of what's been happening, combined with the tensions on the ship and the various issues that's been happening, and point out that between the two, it's very unlikely that her story is accurate, and she has apparent motivation to perhaps not activate this now, so we have to assume that she is until we can prove otherwise.
She just kind of quietly ponders that.
I'll have to see how she thinks about that later. Oh god, this is going to bite me in the ass one day, probably.
You're just coming to this conclusion now?
And suddenly Akron realizes this was a terrible mistake!
Akron, your heart rate seems to be increasing. Would you like to take a walk outside?
Yeah, I administer a sedative. Your trove droid walks nearby.
Alright, so what are you guys doing?
I personally feel I should go get that nav data and not tell anyone else that I'm getting it.
Okay. Yeah, you have a code.
I just sit in the lounge and chat with her. Perhaps about the other crew members and stuff.
All right. So you head back up to the bridge yourself, Twitch. I think maybe Frix's heads back to the Nasara. Like you specifically wanted to go off by yourself. I think like he gives you a look like nobody should go off by themselves, but you want to. So he nods and he leaves you. Yeah, you arrive back up at the bridge. You pass the wardroom and the armory and get to the bridge.
Okay, I wish to go put that code in.
Yeah, so you enter the code in and
3214980.
Yep, and the access is accepted. And
I wish to download the nav data to a personal storage system. Probably like I don't know, what is it? If you want to use the compad for that, or if it's too big, or what size works in this.
Do you have an extra compad on you?
I do not have an. I could probably use the data pad I picked up from her room.
Yeah. The thing is, like, this is a fairly hefty amount of data.
Can I go to computer control, find a data drive to use, and use that?
Yeah. Let's go to computer control. It makes sense to you that there might be some data storage there. So like, yeah, you head down the corridor and head through sensor ops like you haven't been through here before. There's basically like a little hollow tank.
Before I go, I want to relock it up, but with a password I choose.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you randomize a new password under your own name or whatever. You pass through here. There's like a powered down hollow deck here, hollow tank in the middle of the sensor control. Like, obviously it's supposed to project like an image of what everybody is seeing. On the far side of the room, there is like a warning door that says like access to secondary airlock, do not use. And then to the side there's a computer control access, and you enter. There's basically a terminal here. This is basically what people would use to do diagnostics and stuff on the computer core without having to go all the way down to deck 3. Give me a luck save.
Righto, I guess I'll go ahead and roll it before I look it up. If it rolls low, there's no reason, right?
That's
20.
a success. Yeah, you find there's like a drawer here, and you actually find like it looks like maybe it might be perfectly suited to sensor data. It's basically just a hard drive that you can probably slot in, and yeah, you can most definitely use this.
Right, I take that back to the bridge.
Okay, yeah, you make your way to the bridge, you slot it in there, and you download the data. It basically fills up the hard drive. If you put it on your compad, it basically would have deleted all of the functions of the compad, and you might have had to, maybe compress the data.
Yeah, I kind of figured it would be that way. I just didn't have a sense of how much it would actually take.
Yeah. You power down the terminal, and you have like this still slightly warm hard drive in your satchel, I guess, next to you, and you turn to go. Did you still want to check out the armory? I recall.
I don't have the code for it though.
Do you? Do you not? Do you know?
Is it the same number of digits, perchance?
You haven't tried any code on, like you literally have not tried to open.
I try Sin's code on it.
Yeah, it opens.
Is there anything?
It says access granted. It's very small. It's obviously not used for like a lot. There's a small like kind of plastic crate in here. There's a rack on the wall. There seems to be like a small little fold down bench from the wall that you might be able to like lay a weapon down and break it down on. On the wall there seems to be a couple laser rifles, all slotted into like a little rifle nest, rifle rack. I'm gonna say there's like two of them. There's the space for like a couple pistols, and
space.
Those are all filled.
Okay.
No, I mean those are all filled. There is this like plastic crate on the floor.
I examine the crate.
All right, so you pop it open. This seems to be maybe non-standard, and maybe you've I don't know if you've seen it in Sin's presence before, but like you get the feeling that like this is not the normal crew complement of weaponry. There's a typical kind of foam cutout with like a few magazine clips, and a few battery packs and like a cleaning kit, and there is a silhouette of what was probably a mag pistol, but it is not there.
Ah. I palms up Akron and Ray. Please tell me you turned off your speaker, Ray.
Yeah, I turned it off after I was done.
Okay. Well, that's be awkward if you didn't. But I let them know that I have gained access to the ship's arms locker. Most of the complement is here, though there is a pretty non-standard box. Looks like it may have contained a mag pistol. It is not here. Just be aware.
Akron's going to definitely reply to go ahead and everybody keep an eye on your back. I'm going to try to also I'm saying sorry. Yes, I was on the phone. Yeah, I'm going to ask him also if he could pick us up a couple of those laser rifles. You never know, they come handy. Make sure to lock the armory behind you. We don't want any more guns going missing that aren't in our control.
Do I have any way of storing them upon my body?
Do you have encumbrance left?
Only one.
I'm gonna fiat that since you're in 0G, you can carry like one in each arm, if you want. You're not gonna be very nimble.
Yeah, I can't hide them to do that though.
If you're having trouble carrying him, maybe just one would be fine. It's just you have to take a shoulder strap or something for it.
Such a thing would be obvious though, Akron. I kind of think we might have to get them later.
Oh, it's gonna be obvious no matter how you carry it.
Yeah.
Like, even if
I assumed it would be obvious. Gotta leave it and say that. I'll be like,
the others
don't
might
be
have.
Obvious.
The other crew members might have some questions about such things.
One of their crew members tried to hit one of our people in the face with a crowbar. I think that extra precautions are warranted.
Probably true.
But then Akron will say, it's your call,
you
Twitch.
want me to
Just
give
watch
Malcolm
your
one?
back.
I'm sure he might ask about it when I get down there.
Akron pauses for a second and says, discharge the power pack first. Give him an empty gun. See if if any bad intentions come out.
I don't know about you, Akron, but the first thing I would do if given a gun was to check the said power pack.
Think something up, he's probably gonna say. You're creative, Twitch.
Wonderful.
Maybe break the display or something, he might mutter to himself before you hear him hit his head on another metal bulkhead.
Yeah,
so around into the engine.
Yeah, like I think right about now, Akron, you finish and you get the conduit working. You get back to the terminal, and you definitely have restored power to the light drive through this secondary shunt. You haven't figured out why power was not going through the primary conduit, but you worked around it.
I'm going to enthusiastically report that we do have light drive power, but that's still going to leave the scoop fixing those up, so I'm going to have to take a look at that next if we're going to have any chance of getting this thing out of here.
Now that you have power, like primary power, you can restore gravity.
Oh, I'll probably do a radio check, make sure everybody's got their feet on the ground and they're holding on to something, and of course check in with my probe droid as well before. Get them all aware that there's going to be a gravity shift, no calamities happen, and then I will flip it on.
Well,
so you know what? Scratch that. I'm going to actually say that I have the option to restore gravity, but I'm thinking we want to leave it off. So far, we've been needing to lift heavier stuff than normal, like with crates and such, and also, if I turn the gravity on and there's some structural damage, suddenly that could just implode on itself. I'm going to say I've got the option to turn on gravity, but unless we absolutely need it for some reason, I don't recommend we turn it on until we've given the ship a closer inspection. I can't see how it would help us.
Just a record. We all have weapons, and I haven't seen any of them have weapons yet. I can't see taking laser rifles. I'm gonna put them back.
had something.
Yeah, Malcolm had a laser rifle.
Did he? Well,
he wasn't carrying it around with him, notably though. Like he had it with you when you guys went down to deck 3.
Remember he pointed at you in the elevator?
Yeah, he basically left it there in the break room. He hasn't been carrying it around since.
Yeah, do either of you want a laser?
And I think there was probably an empty space for a third laser rifle up there in the arms locker.
Okay.
I want one just for ripping it apart and trying some experiments on it later. Is the reason Akron wants it.
That
And
sounds like
there's
Akron.
a trio of laser pistols up there as well with some power packs.
I might take one of the laser pistols. I mean, I don't have skill with it, but it's still better than a normal pistol with my skill.
You can make trips if you want, if you just want to loot all of it. Like, you've got a fairly easy, back and forth between that and the Nasara, if that's something you're interested in. Is what?
Does my room lock on the Nasara?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I would like to put a couple I don't want to take it all. I want to put a couple of the things, like maybe like 2 of the laser rifles and 2 of the laser pistols in my room on the Nasara. Without, I don't want to just leave them out in the open, because Yella is on the Nasara and she's somewhat suspect at this point.
So I asked Ella if she wants something to eat.
She says, no, thank you. The medicine you gave me is making me feel a little sick to my stomach.
Not even some crackers or something?
She shakes her head.
It might be just because you have an empty stomach. But anyway.
It is worth noting that Akron has grown aggro, so you may want to be wrapping it up.
Well, it's not so much that, is that I gotta go help her pack and everything up. So I have to head out. But I wanted to ask before I left, what was up with the what I would need to do to fix the fuel scoop? Because I'm probably going to start heading that direction next to the action.
Give me a tech astronautics roll.
Yep.
Because you know that it's not like systems are not reporting that it's just broken, and you've heard some stuff from it. You can get it online in a couple hours. Basically, they made some modifications to scoop atmosphere and water out of like the atmosphere of a gas giant. You'd have to basically like spend a couple hours demodifying and making sure everything was working properly. You're going to be spending most of your time in fuel processing on deck 2.
Also, can I use my probe droid, I guess, if it comes back to me this way, to float my bag of stuff over to Twitch to take back to the ship?
No.
Okay.
It does not have the ability to move that much mass.
I will keep the bag of stuff with me then, and
Okay.
I'll start heading up to do whatever I need to do to fix the fuel scoop, and I look forward to continuing this on Sunday. I'm sorry I have to go.
No, it's fine.
It's worth noting that we will probably have to acquire some type of life support. We could probably take the Nasara down to the planet and maybe refresh our some there and transfer some to the ship.
It may. They said it was air was the problem, right? They had food.
Need water too.
We have food.
And water.
Air and water, theoretically, if it was safe, you'd have to come and test it.
They said they had like 3 days, right? Or 2 days?
I believe
if there was
for
just
2 people.
Yeah.
Oh, for 2 people. I was gonna say it might be more for less people, but
yeah, we'll have to get some more. We possibly could get it from the planet. I don't know if you're interested in checking that out, Ray, but
that is a possibility.
So they take less oxygen and less food.
Would you be against the Nasara? Because I don't know if this is going to happen or not. But before you leave, Akron, would you be against the Nasara? I know this has been talked about, leaving to go get life support materials from the planet while you fix the ship.
That sounds a little bit hazardous. I probably would say that I'm like to avoid going to the planet altogether if it's at all possible. But
Akron, we need life support if you intend to bring that ship back.
If it definitely occurs to you that you're going to need like somebody to pilot the ship, or you're going to have to work out some sort of non-traditional method of jumping the ship, and that would be very unreliable.
Could the one person piloting this ship just remain in the suit?
The suits only go for 6 hours.
I mean, they could
light warp drive takes weeks.
It's going to be 6 days, Akron.
What if I could restore life support?
That's 6 days, not counting time moving in or out of a system.
If I restored life support to just the bridge, would that be a potential solution?
The thing is, they were down to 2 days for 2 people already, and you guys have been using it and spreading it around some areas already. You could siphon some of your own, but you're taking on more passengers already. So I haven't calculated it, but I do not think you have enough.
One last idea to throw out there, if it works. If not, I'll do what we have to do. Is my Atmos tent. I could potentially.
It doesn't matter, Akron. You can't run it for that long.
Your Atmos tent runs off the same things.
I mean, it uses a canister, which is 24 hours, but you still have to take that much from the ship you're attached to do that. It doesn't create atmosphere. You know what I'm saying?
Copy that.
You still have to take it from somewhere. We don't have enough to start with.
We can transfer enough oxygen to do it, but yeah, I guess we're gonna have to get some life support from the ship or from the planet.
Supposedly, the planet had a breathable atmosphere. It's thin. Perhaps we could concentrate.
I'm pretty sure you guys could leave on the Nasara with all your passengers with the amount of life support you have. I haven't done precise calculations. I am fairly certain that you don't have enough life support to leave somebody on the ship and have them transport and have enough life support, because it would be like 6 to 10 days.
If that's the case, and that really comes down to we have to go to the planet to get it, we'll go with that.
Well, they tried the fuel scooping with the ship and it blew up. So
you don't know. It was never determined that was the cause of the blow up. They were getting ready to, like, you guys read a lot into like things that happen around the same time. I'll just say that. Like, I'm not saying that's not what happened, but there was an explosion, and consequently, consequently mentioned that they were modifying the fuel scoops to take in atmosphere and water. I'll just posit to you, if they were in the process of doing that, they would, one, probably either have more oxygen and water right now, or if it had utterly failed, they might have been drawn into the gas giant. So I'm just saying, not necessarily root cause. And this would occur to anybody who had been in space, I would think.
Oh. Ray saw it as, put raw oxygen into tank. Tank somehow has spark. Tank explodes.
No, I've never thought it was that.
Looking forward to seeing you guys on Sunday. If you meet me on this ship, I'll cross my fingers.
See ya.
Catch you soon, guys.
All right, so
do we want to continue without him, or do we want to pause for Sunday?
It's certainly an option. I'm open to continuing. I think you guys have more than enough things that you guys could do for a little bit if you want, or continue on. Like if you guys wanted to go to the planet, that's something. You just got to go ahead. Like the overall goal is, I think, like order of priority is to get everybody and the Nasara back to the system safely. Second priority is to get everybody in the Nasara back safely with some cargo. Third priority is to get everybody in the Nasara back safely with some cargo and the Zephius. You guys are going for, down to priority 3. In order to do that, you would need more life support. And it's going to take Akron hours, maybe a day or two to actually get the ship into working order at this point.
Do I know enough about ships that, do I even think it's feasible to siphon from an active atmosphere?
Yeah, I was talking to Cloud about this. If you have atmosphere configuration, you can land on a planet, and I'm just going to say that, it has to be a breathable atmosphere, of course. If I think with fuel scoops, you can probably rig up some sort of processor. As long as it's default, like breathable to you, you can basically replenish your oxygen. It will take some time because your pumps basically have to pressurize that, because everything's kept in a pressurized tank. Otherwise, you wouldn't have enough volume to carry weeks of life support. So if you land on the planet, open up your airlocks and stuff, open up your vents, it'll probably take a couple days to fill up your oxygen supply and pressurize it. At the same time, you need to refill your water, and you don't have like a truck or anything that can carry that sort of thing. Unfortunately, one of maybe the only thing that Akron didn't include in his buggy was the kitchen sink or like a tank. So you would probably have to run a refueling hose from the Nasara to like a source of water within. I'm thinking
we have chemical barrels, right? I know it's kind of hazardous, so we could possibly clean one enough to carry water.
I will tell you though that you can probably just run a refueling hose from the Nasara that normally would just hook up to a source of water. Like if you guys landed close enough, like within 30 feet of a source of water, you could just run it into a lake if you were willing to land that close to a source of water.
I just set a picture of like an Ichthyosaur coming up, smash.
It's certainly not how it's meant to be done, but you can do it.
It's worth noting that our notes from the planet had a bunch of hot tub-sized craters.
Yep.
They probably have water in them if they're described as hot tubs. We need to test that water first, though.
Yeah. Again, like, I think you guys, if there's any sort of toxins or anything, it occurs to you that it probably would just take more time for your processing abilities. Like I think there's a certain level where your ship systems just wouldn't be able to reprocess it, but it doesn't have to be pure potable water just then. In order for you to take it on, you could have the ship's life support system process it to make it drinkable. So you have a little bit of leeway. As long as the planet looks fairly habitable, you have a good chance of getting life support there.
I will discuss with Gela whether All right, our technician seems to have restored power to the light drive. Is there any particular reason why you didn't go to the planet for life support?
Oh wow, you rolled you rolled like a 10 on your passive perception. You definitely notice when you say like restored power to the light drive, she looks very surprised. And not just like oh, I didn't think, like I was trying to do that, like maybe she thought, like maybe she knew it wasn't capable. Um it's just like a feeling you get in the kind of general sort of uh, outlook of her face. Like you just get kind of a feeling. And what was the rest of your question?
Is there any reason in particular why they chose to try and use scoops instead of going to the planet?
Well,
The Zephius is not planet capable.
It's not.
yeah. I mean, like, yeah. Ray, Twitch pipes up with that. You can you can look at the Zephius, but it is most definitely not atmosphere capable. It actually has to have its cargo lighter for the specific reason of transporting cargo to planets. Like it can dock with a space station and be just fine, but if they're transporting cargo to a planet,
Oh, right.
you
There's
have to
no
use the
landing
cargo
gear or anything
lighter.
on that, is there?
Yeah.
Never mind. I was thinking maybe it had like a big like cargo frame or something it landed in.
She says that it had been talked about. Rail had been considering modifying the cargo shuttle to scoop atmosphere from the planet, but it was uh, like 4 days away by shuttle. She like looks, she looks to you and she says, like it's not meant for like interplanetary distances. It would have taken quite a long time to get there. So we opted to try to skim in orbit on the upper orbit from the gas giant.
Did you encounter problems during that process?
There seemed to have been some sort of power overload. Um, uh, it might have been a problem resulting from the power conduit issues that we were having. I couldn't get resolved, and maybe we were taxing the systems too much with as little power we were draining from the core as we were. But it caused an overload in several of the systems, and unfortunately she sighs and she says that the port fuel bunker exploded.
Yes, we noted that. We're assuming the other fuel bunker is empty.
You already know that.
Yes, so
She says
so
she
we'll
nods
probably
though,
have
and
to
she
restore
says
the scoop to any kind of functionality in
she
order
she
to get
says she says that was
fuel.
the one that we had modified to hopefully get life support from the planet. And
I think the current plan is we're gonna take the Nasara here down to the planet to try and get some life supports for your ship. We're probably still going to have to get the scoops restored to the way they were in order to fill one bunker for a jump. I'm just filling her in on the current plan and stuff.
yeah.
Of course, there is always the alternative of taking you all on the Nasara and leaving, if that plan doesn't hold through. But that would involve leaving your ship behind, and that's something you probably don't want if we can avoid it.
Twitch,
So,
I think you're here as well. Like you've definitely had time to get back to the ship. I think everybody is aboard but Akron now. And I don't know if everybody's in the room, but I mean, I'm willing to say, Twitch, you're in the lounge as well if you want to be in on this conversation.
Okay. Can we leave? I'm assuming that Akron's air supply is not Capable of lasting
Well,
for very long.
They said 2 days for the
Yeah,
actual
but
air
he's gonna.
supply. So
Does he have extra things for his suit? Because if he doesn't, we need to leave some of that nature. So that he can swap out.
Kiros,
And he can
how many days
Kiros,
is it to the planet?
it's gonna be it's only going to be let's see here. It's actually a
Do I need to roll
moon in
nav to
orbit.
figure that out?
No, it's a moon in orbit of your gas giant. So it's not in a different stellar region. It would be like 6 hours. But you may have to stay down there a couple days.
Can we transfer enough life support from the Nasara to keep him for like how much do we have left anyway?
Yeah, let me look. So you guys have been here for what, a full
day?
Day. I know what we need to add is we need to add like a running life support tracker.
Life support tracker.
Yeah. I'll get on that
need like
pretty
a person
soon.
days that we could calculate, like how many people and how many days.
The default was what, 14?
14 for the crew of 8. So default is 112 person days, each person per day.
All right, let's see here. So it took you guys 2 days to jump here. It's been a day. Your crew for that period was Kiros, Pharixis, Ray, Twitch, and Akron. So 5 of 8. So we're going
5
do a
times
little bit of math.
3 is 15, right? 3 days.
Hang on. I'm doing my math a little differently. All right, so you are using 62% per day of what you could be using. So we are going to multiply your life support by 48%. Well, I guess 38%.
By 1.38, right? So
Yeah. So you would have a total of 19 days, 0.32 by default with a crew of 5.
My only problem with that way of calculating is if the crew number shifts, it's hard to calculate.
Well, that's why we're not doing this permanently. That's why I'm not writing your life support as 19.32 for a crew of 5.
That's why I'm looking at calculating it by person per day, because then we can actually directly
Well,
calculate numbers.
If it's for 8 people for 2 weeks, 8 times 14 equals how many total hours to use?
8 times 14 is 112. 112 days per each day you would consume 1 person day per person that's on the ship.
How are you getting 112 days?
Their capacity is 8 times 14 days. That is 112.
112 days total. You consume 8. If you have 8 people and you consume 8
people
for that number per day.
14 days, that would be expended.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Thus, if you go past 3 days of a crew of 5, you take 15 off the 112, and then you have that many person days left.
So you basically have 112 units of life support.
Yes.
Yeah, and you consume 1 unit per person on board.
Okay, that's a good way of tracking it. All right, so we're going to say life support.
It's less multiplication and more just straight addition subtraction.
Life support is 112 units.
Which is a day in days, but yeah. So we had a crew of 6 for the trip out, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 6. So it takes.
Crixus, Trios.
So
I'm not.
So
Phrixus, Kyros, and us 3. That's 5, right?
So 5 times 3, so 15
Yeah, so
for your
15
first
were
3
used.
days.
And then
So
today,
112
which has
minus
on board
15.
As well. 112 minus 15
right, so you
would
were
be like 97?
Yeah, you were at 97. Yeah, this is a much better way of computing it.
It would take us the same amount to get back to Port Phrixus.
Cool.
Or Phraxis.
Port Phrixus.
Phraxis. Like
One
the game
day.
developer.
One day, Phrixus will own the port.
Subtracting that amount out leaves us with.
All right, so that was basically that was at the end of yesterday.
Yeah.
Before you guys took on additional. Say it's the end of today. You've used up some extra life support because people have been coming on and off refueling their air tanks. I remember.
Yep.
So for today, you guys had a crew of 5 plus Gela and Malcolm and Bennett. We're not going to go partial days. I think that would be a little bit hard to calculate. So that would be up to your max of 8. So we'll subtract 8 from that, and you go down to 89. And Rail is not taking any. He is just taking power, fortunately. I think you guys made a very smart decision leaving him in stasis.
I think we should transfer a week's worth for one person, so 7 units, to the ship for Akron's use when he's repairing, and then we should go restock on the
And
planet.
then you need to figure out how much it would be to jump. So 3 times a max of 8, so 24. And
whatever time it takes to make it to the closest station there.
Yeah, so you need to.
Which you said they're
need to
outlier
set a
stations,
reserve.
but
Yeah, you need to set a reserve of 24 to make sure you have enough time to make your 3 days of transit. So that gives you
89 minus 24 would be. I should do it in my
65.
Head? Yeah.
You would have 65 to play with. Minus
48.
7. You're gonna give a week's life support to Akron. You know, in the event that things go sour on the planet. So minus 7.
58, right? Yeah. All
right, so you're at 58, and then you don't have a precise calculation of how long it takes, but like a rounded number might be like 2 days to get your life support systems in order, like totally refueled.
When you're on the planet, we might not necessarily need it.
Yeah. So that would be. Yeah. How do you calculate life support when you're also in the process of refueling it? Part of your life support is food. But you don't have to necessarily worry about that since you've got food back on the ship. You guys brought in 500 pounds, I think.
Yeah, I think what was it, half a ton? I think I brought.
Yeah, I think you brought a quarter of a ton.
Quarter ton. That's still a lot of food.
There's a lot more on the ship.
So, for a worst case scenario, assuming you couldn't get any life support on the planet, we'll just do 8 times 2. So 58 minus 16. You'd still have 42 hours to play with. You certainly have quite enough time.
Okay, so yeah, we give Akron 7 days worth for one person.
Okay.
That's
All
around
right,
with.
so we're gonna
We pump
transfer.
some over.
Your current official count is at 89, and we will bump that down to 82.
But this method requires much less like times 0.35, stuff like that.
Yeah.
We may want to pump a little bit more over, so that we just have more space to fill up the ship when we get there to recruit it.
That is true.
Yeah. How much do you want to pump over there? We had previously covered that you would need at least 6 days for one person to pilot the ship, plus 2 to get out system, plus 2 to get in system, so that would be a total of 10.
Yeah, we should give the ship at least, like, I don't know, like 14 or somewhere between 14 and 20, so then it has enough theoretically to make the jump.
Well, the other option is we pump 6 days worth, and if we all die, Akron can escape.
Well, that's what we're doing right now. If we give him like,
so you
if we
were
give
going
him
to pump
like
6 days.
If we give him like 20, he has enough to theoretically. Well, he doesn't have water though, so it wouldn't help him a whole lot.
He may be able to survive on the water.
They do have a water reservoir.
And the thing is, he pees. Like he might be able to. He might be able to rig up some sort of filtration
he might be able to rig
system.
something.
I mean, the water reservoir,
may be able to,
whatever's in the mess hall, whatever they have in personal.
He may be able to like filter like engine lubricants too to get a little bit extra juice out of it.
I could just see us all dying on the planet, and all of a sudden Akron's like, "Oh, bye guys, I can escape."
All right, so you guys intended
ship back to Port Attractions.
You guys intended to give. He needs to be if you're not going anywhere specific. You need 6 days in transit, 2 days to leave the system, 2 days to enter system. So 10 days at the very least.
He also needs whatever
and
it
then
takes
time
to get the fuel
fix it.
scoops going, and how long that takes.
So how much time do you want to give him after the 10 days?
How long does it take to scoop fuel?
I have that written down.
Notepad accessed.
Actually, I have it on the Starship section of our forums.
Oh.
Refueling. A ship must be refueled after each drill, no matter how short. If the ship has been equipped with fuel scoop fittings, they can harvest and refine necessary hydrogen from any gas giant or solar primary. Harvesting requires 4 days.
Yeah, so we want to give him at least like 20 days to work with, I think.
4 days to refuel one bunker,
right? It doesn't say one bunker. I'm gonna say that's probably for everything. I don't know that it increases time based on
if you
how
have
much.
more bunkers, they might give you a bigger scoop or something.
It might give you like a scoop for each bunker.
That would make sense.
I'm not
right,
gonna
to, like attach to the bottom.
If we end up dealing with something where you guys have 20 bunkers, I don't know why
Jesus
you would.
Christ.
I don't think we're ever
like
gonna have
this is fueling ship Omega Galaxy.
I think.
Would you like to buy some fuel?
I think after maybe.
I think fueling ship Exxon Centron.
I don't think I would ever equip more than 3 bunkers unless I intend to just like collect fuel and sell it back. Then
well, maybe you guys decide you want to go to the outside edge of the galaxy.
No, what you do is you go to the outside and then you just gouge people for fuel.
Yeah.
We get like a drive 8 and the rest of the ship is fuel bunkers.
So we're looking at 10 days for transit times, plus 4 days for refueling. That's 14 days. And then 6 days, worst case scenario, to give him time to get the ship back online. So an even 20 days. So we will subtract 20 from 89.
Yeah, this is probably all we're going to do this session.
You guys have...
and just be like, Akron, we did math for the last hour and a half.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, that's what you guys do for BattleTech half of the time.
Yep, it's true. It's true.
So you guys are down to 69 units. Yeah, I think that cuts it down to where you still have a comfortable margin left.
Probably just assign one of us to do all this calculation if I help you a lot, but
yeah, I like to be present though. People have messed up a few calculations in the past. People have not accounted for their weapon weight. Cough, Akron. So yeah. I think I like to be present for like stuff like life support, just to make sure you guys don't get in a position where you jump somewhere and then because one person screwed up, all of you guys are dead. That would be bad. All right, so yeah, you guys work out, like spend this time working out the trip. I think with Kiros, I think maybe Gela leaves. She wanders down the hall. And Kiros kind of comes in with a data pad. He's checking over system stuff with the ship. He
Malcolm
has that
should
diagnostic.
Probably be here while we're doing all this stuff, but you know.
What?
Malcolm should probably be here too while we're discussing this.
Yeah,
he'll be coming with us, so.
Yeah, Kiros comes in with a data pad. He says he has that diagnostic that Akron wanted. He just finished it like 2 hours ago. He's been going over the results, and yeah, like no abnormalities with the light drive. Aside from like that power spike from the bounty
we're going
hunter.
to the planet.
What planet? What planet?
Or the moon.
Yeah, it occurs to us that we need more life support.
What do you want to call it?
You intended to scoop it before. It occurs to us we could probably use the Nasara to collect more life support and then ferry it onto the ship.
Kiros looks at it, he says, huh.
All right. It'll probably involve a couple days on planet, but from what our readings found earlier, it should at least be breathable. We will have to test the water.
Akron sign off on this?
Not precisely. We've given him a fair amount of margin.
Yeah, we're going to give him enough life support to stay, so he could possibly escape if bad things happen. But it'll be okay.
As long as one of you is willing to pay the bills if he doesn't come back. Because he's currently the one paying my checks. But, alright, yeah. I'm willing to take you there.
Akron's going to try and get the Zephius working, and this is the moment when that facehugger comes out of the cracks.
He lets out a whistle. And he's like, "Wow, man, he's pretty ambitious. That if he can get that thing up,
you have heard some of it. Like I don't know half of his plans, but you've heard his ramblings, right?
What do you mean his ramblings? I mean, I hear him muttering all the time.
Let's just say that Akron has quite lofty goals.
Do you know any of these goals?
Just judging from past things he's done, I'm sure that he has quite a few more.
This was a GM question.
Probably not really, as far as what his actual goals are. In character.
So, I don't think he's ever talked with you about.
I look at Kiros and I go, Kiros, this is the guy who we told to buy a buggy, and he came back with that, like thumb at the other buggy.
Oh, he's like, oh. I just thought he liked to have fun on the weekends. All right, well, yeah. Do you want me to get the ship ready to leave now?
That seems to be...
After we transfer the life support to Akron.
Yes.
All right, yeah, that might take a couple hours. I'll get the transfer hooked up.
Get the hose hooked up.
Yeah. He's like, Frixis, I could use your help with this. You guys feel like a bang. And Frixis comes like kind of stumbling out of a room, rubbing his head, and Frixis like shambles down a corridor with Kiros
towards the airlock. If Gela was in said room, but he's a married man. Not that I know that.
No, the door was open. So you can. I mean, like if you think they're doing that in an open room, very quietly.
With heavily burn marks, yeah.
No, he could have been just talking to her and got startled and hit his head.
Alright, so, did you guys bring over that basically loot their armory?
I brought, theoretically, while no one was there to actually see, because Gela was in the front lounge, I took 2 pistols and 2 laser rifles.
I'm going to make a new section for the Nasara entitled The Armory.
It's in one of the freshers.
No, I put it in Twitch's probably illegal goods for now.
You bunk with Pharixis. I imagine it's probably just all shoved underneath the bottom bunk.
Yep.
We have an extra bunk somewhere, right? To be like, this bunk is now Armory 1.
I will note, I'll switch this over to the Nasara because we're leaving the Zephius for a little while. You guys probably have.
There's
You
no
guys
way.
probably have space in room 5, the secondary cargo hold, to set up like an actual armory if you wanted to, like a secured locker that people couldn't break into without a code.
He's fair to say.
That might be worth looking into when you return to the station.
Yeah, I can't imagine like that would be a huge modification. Just be like purchasing something.
Yeah, you just have to get somebody
and for
to
now,
like, reinforce
Refresher 2 is now the armory.
it. Like, where before it had ladies on it, it's been flipped over and it just has like a crude marker drawing of a laser pistol going pew pew.
Yeah, we could say that's done for now. Then I look at oddly like, did the refreshers lock? What did that happen? Well, not that I would try to use that one, probably, but... Who designed the ship that the refreshers have locks? From the outside? With codes on them?
Questionable. But anyway,
But yeah, I think that's all we're probably going to do for this session.
So there's no way in Roll20 for the players to have multiple tabs they can flip through? Just... That's the thing you can do with
the
Roll20,
DM
is
gets tabs, but
No, I get tabs.
I don't
you
think the
don't.
DM can give us control of said tabs.
No.
Damn. Oh well. I was gonna be really useful to be able to flip between various, like the Nasara page and the other ones, but you know, like Google Sheets. But anyway,
I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording for today, though.
Okay.